Hi, welcome back to Three Bridges. I'm Mark. This is the update from the loft. So this is Marylebone, or Marylebone as some people call it. I've sort of tinkered around with this for the last year, but I just want to get it done to a reasonable level so I can just concentrate on other parts in the loft. So Marylebone May is what this is all about. I'm going to try and record the whole thing over 12 minutes, so it gives me about 2.5 minutes a week, and then a minute at the start and a minute at the end. What do we need to do? All the ground scenics needs finishing off. I sort of had started. So this is Marylebone back in the early 80s. It was Budleigh City by then. As you came into the station, there were more Budleighers than there were passengers. Okay, a quick update. So I spent a lot of May building walls, basically to border the edge of the Marylebone station. There's about a 2-metre wall that I need to build and install, and the issue I've got is obviously the structure is long and thin and prone to falling over. So I decided I would build a couple of little structures that would sit against the wall that I can remember you'd often see sort of half buildings disused, something from the past, against the wall. So I've taken this. So this is the Skeldsenes Way Station or Coal Merchants kit. It's a sort of free one you can get, and basically built it, but as I build it I chopped it in two, so I've got two halves. So I will position them against the wall, and then it will give the wall something to hold it up. Okay, so finally made up all the, it must be about 2.5 meters of this sort of retaining wall. It goes around the edge of the Marylebone station sort of yard, I suppose. So it's just gluing in place, and then obviously the basic scenics are down. I still need to add all the buddleia bushes. Okay, so the Marylebone signal box, excuse the image, my printer's throwing a wobbly. I managed to find two pictures basically online of it. So this one's from the back side actually. So as I view the Marylebone, I'm basically looking from the sort of tower blocks in the background. But I can sort of see the structure at the back. So there's sort of 3 windows, a door, and then the sort of viewing room with all the levers and everything are on top. And as you came into the station, I can always remember going past this. And then the other image I've managed to find, so this one's from the Transport Library. Again, it's online. So this shows from the other side. So I can sort of see the window arrangement they have, and then I can't find the image at the moment, but there is a third one which basically shows the steps up and a couple of guys stood on it at the far end. So I can work out the basic arrangement for the signal box. So taking those images, I basically went into Inkscape, and I drew up a couple of boxes. So that's basically the concrete base. Obviously the windows at the back. I know there's a door at the end here, which obviously to get into the workings underneath, that's just going to be brick. And then at this end there are some steps up, which I'll worry about later. And then what sits on top of this box is this structure. So I'm going to make it in 2 halves so that I'm going to have a load of windows, but I probably won't fit out the inside at the moment, and I'll come back to doing that later. So there's the door in, and I've basically got the window arrangement that I can see from the images. So I'll use the sticky label method to create all of those, and then everything else is in sort of a shutterboard approach. If I go back to the original image, you can see there's this shuttering around it, and then sort of the darker frame of painted wood. So, and then there's a roof. I'll worry about that later on. And again, a bit of window there, and then at the back, these aren't windows. It's basically again shutterboard panels that have been put in during the construction. So my thoughts are that the whole of the top part is made of wood, and then the brick base below. So based on that, I will work on the bottom part first. Right, hopefully this will work. Friday morning, 7 o'clock, so I catch up with Third Rail Thursday, and last night was Denny doing something different, but it's been quite a really interesting episode actually. It's different format. Anyway, what am I up to? So, Marylebone signal box. So, slightly different approach this time because I'd already got a cardboard mock-up made. I decided I would reuse it. So, on the original, I suppose, skeleton cardboard, I basically overlaid my brick paper onto some fresh sheets of card, and then stuck them onto the base mock-up, and then I've added some thin strips of card, cutting 1/2 mil card into 1 mil strips is not easy. I can see why the plaster card strips are easier to use, but anyway, everything on this is card at the moment. So, and then I've done some extra edging around and the roof. So that's the base of the signal box, and then on top sat my mock-up of, I suppose, the cab. So the back, again, I sort of reused what I had, so I've chopped off the 3 sides. So that was the front, and I've chopped out the windows that you did used to have, and then made up another template because I need to sandwich the perspex between the two. More of that later. And then on the back, using thin strips of card again, I've made up that sort of shutterboarding structure that I can see on the image, and the outer edges are sort of painted in a different colour, and you've got presumably it's a heater vent. Anyway, that's the back, and at the moment I'm just working on the sides. So put my shutterboard paper on, scale scenes some of the green strips. I'll do the final strips on the corners once I come to assemble the whole thing, so that it sort of, they marry up. But the next thing to work on is the sticky label windows. So I'll print those up again from my Inkscape image. That's effectively what they'll look like, and then whilst I continue to watch Denny, I'll start peeling. Okay, we're back. So printed out, stuck to the acetate. So I use the Pico packaging for my acetate because it's quite rigid. I always leave a paper border because that's going to help glue it to one side. So I will cut these out and attach them. Well, that's probably it for May. Quite happy with how this one's coming together as a scratch build for Marylebone signal box. I've left a space inside, so I will look to see if I can get a lever frame. I think Wheels did a kit, and obviously there's some steps up and guttering pipes and stuff, and obviously the signs either end. But we're into June now, so another month. The plan for the summer, so probably like most people, I'm very busy most weekends now till August, and so I'm not going to plan. Obviously I've got the main Durf yard is my big summer project, and this box at the back is basically gives you an idea of how big a warehouse will be sitting on the layout. So that's the timber frame that I'm going to clad in the plasticard to make the warehouse this part of the layout. So probably some updates on that. And then for June, July, I'm going to focus on one section of my layout upstairs each week, where there's just like little jobs to do, like this one station that has no signage yet, and chimney pots, downspouts, bits of a cricket pitch that needs just grassing over. So I'm going to sort of focus on like 20 to 30 minute jobs each week, and just get a few of the smaller detail done. And I've no idea what I'll film at the moment, so see what happens. But anyway, for those of you who do support, do the likes, thanks very much. I'm not really sure what's happening with YouTube this year. It's just it feels like the channel's dying in front of me, really. But anyway, I'll keep making the content. Maybe I'll catch you next time. Cheers.